Hi, and welcome to the advanced training for the DocuSign activity collection for UiPath. In this tutorial, we're going to look at a more complex use case scenario for the company Fibrexa, or actually the imaginary company Fibrexa. Here's the structure of the company. We have the product development team, the evaluation team, the finance team, the legal team, health and safety, development team again, and resource allocation. And we're going to look at how an envelope is passed around this team. We'll start with the product development team. So, the product development team starts with their envelope, puts in some information regarding a new product, and then passes it to the evaluation team. They put in some information regarding to the viability and pass it to the finance team. Then goes to both the health and safety and the legal team at the same time, conditionally back to the product development team, and then finally to the resource allocation team for the final sign-off. Let's look at how this works in practice. The process is initiated when a new product developer fills out this form, fills out this spreadsheet. They put in the proposal name, their email. I'm just using my email for all the email addresses in this, but in practice it would be a separate email addresses. Whether or not they want to review the document before it goes for the final sign-off. The evaluation team to evaluate. The evaluation team email, again my email, the estimated development cost, and the estimated returns. So we have a workflow here. It loads up the product development spreadsheet, the one we're just looking at, and goes through each row. And this is just extracting the columns into variables. It creates an envelope. It gives it the name proposal plus the proposal name and creates an envelope object. It attaches the proposal document to it. Now the proposal document looks like this. New product development form. It has the proposal name, who it's by, email, a place to attach a proposal document, and lots of other sections for different people to fill out that we'll look at as we go through. Here's the product evaluation team, the finance team, the risk assessment team, which is comprised of the health and safety team and the legal team. This is if the proposer wants to review it when they come back to it, and the final sign-off by the resource allocation team. You can see here at the end we've got a send envelope activity, and in between we've got a flow chart that adds all of the recipients. Starts with the proposer, evaluator, finance, legal, health and safety, review by the proposer, and then resource allocation at the end. What I'm going to do is run this entire workflow and talk you through the development steps so we can look at the result at the same time. So I'm going to hit F5. We're using automatic authentication, so it automatically logs us in, gets our auth code, and there's our envelope. So let's have a look. So this is the envelope that the product development team would get in the first place, the person who proposed the new product development. As you can see, it's already filled in with quite a lot of the information from the original spreadsheet. The proposal name, who it's by, and the cost. This can be edited in here. There's an attachment a requirement for an attachment, so this can be included as well. In fact, it has to be. It's a requirement for it to be part of the application. And then finally a signature, and we're done. Finish, and that's this stage of the signing process finished off. I'll show you how it works. So if we look at the recipient's flowchart, the first one is add proposer. Proposer email again is set to my email. We pass in the envelope and the proposer name. The routing order, and this will be important later, the routing order is set to 1. That means this is the first person who receives this envelope. It adds some text. As you can see here, it makes the text size slightly larger. And you can see that here, lectern project, the text is a bit larger. as the full name, same as this. Again, the text is a bit larger. Email address. This is the sign or attachment tab that we looked at before. The development cost. As you can see here, it's got a label name, label dev cost. This will be important later when we look at formulas. And again, estimated returns with label returns. Add sign here tab and add date tab. Quite straightforward. As you can see, the sign here tab is required. In fact, a few of these tabs have the required checkbox checked. That means that they have to be signed before the envelope can continue. Okay, so I already finished the signing for the first stage earlier, and I already got my email through for the next stage. So now it's gone to the evaluation team. As you can see here, if I open the email, it says here merchandise, which is the evaluation team name that we had in our product development spreadsheet. Right here, evaluation team merchandise. So it's pulled that through. So even though we've used the same email, it thinks we're sending it to somebody different now. So this is merchandise reviewing the document. This is what they see. So they get all the information that the first person put in, and this is what they get to see. They don't see anything from later on. They only see the things that they need to fill in. They have some checkboxes to select. This is the funding source. So I'm going to select B2B. Product viability, they have to put this one in because it's required. Hi, sign here, and that's them done. Date comes up automatically and the team name comes up automatically. So now we're going to send it to finance. Another important thing to note before we move on is that, well, let's have a look at the workflow. Add evaluator. As you can see here, the routing order is 2. We've got a condition here. If the development cost is below a certain amount, we add a text tab. Because it's above 7,000, we've added this radio group tab. So if you want to experiment yourself, you can go into this spreadsheet and turn this dev cost below 7,000, and the envelope will look a bit different. This is the sort of conditional logic that you can achieve using DocuSign with UiPath. List tab is the one that where you can select the risk assessment. So you can see we put the values in here, low, medium and high. The page number is 1. Again, it's required, and the position is relative to the product viability text, which is right next to it. So you see product viability, it's worked out where to put it based on that. And the same goes for the other tabs. So that's the end of the evaluator's role. Now it moves on to the finance team. So let's finish that off. So finish, and we're done signing this section. Now the next team gets it. This will be the finance team. See, it says right here, to finance. So it's expecting that this is the finance team. So now we'll click on it as if we were the finance team. So this is the finance team reviewing the document. And let's just go to the workflow in UiPath 2. So, finance. This one gets interesting. So, as you can see here, we've got the development cost from before as text. Now we've got these new figures here, marketing cost and distribution cost. What happens? Watch this number here as we change these. So I'll put in 100 into marketing cost, and I'll put in 99 into distribution cost. And as you can see, the total cost is updated by finance's calculations. They sign here again, same as before. The way that this calculation works is by using a formula with labels. I'll show you. So, as you can see here, we've got a formula tab. That's the first one. Then we go into the marketing cost tab. This is a number tab. In the tab label section, we've written label MK cost. And this is the distribution cost. And again, we've got a label here. Then the formula tab comes next. It's fairly straightforward, as most of these tabs are, except for the formula section. if we have a look at that, we can see we've got a string, dev cost plus, and then we've got special notation, market cost plus distribution cost in brackets, and that performs the calculation for us. A few more normal tabs, and that's the end of this. That's the end of this section. So finance signs it off, and now it doesn't just go to either the health and safety team or the legal team. If I have a look at my email here, you see I've got two emails, to legal and to health and safety, both at the same time. Now the reason for this, if we zoom out a bit, is legal. See, add signer legal, we've set the routing order to 4 here. And if I go back one, health and safety, I've set the routing order again to 4. So that means that it will go to both at the same time. It doesn't matter what order they completed it in, but they both have to complete it before it can move on to the next stage. So let's just quickly click through. So this is the health and safety team. So they have to sign and finish. We don't get any more emails yet because we still have to sign as the legal team. So, to legal, review document. And we have to sign as the legal team. Finish. I won't finish it yet because I just want to make a point. When the original proposer filled out this form, they put in a check whether or not they wanted to review it before they continued. And if we look here in the workflow, add dev review. If essentially that field is filled out, then redirect it to the signer, the proposer again. So we have filled it out. This box is checked, but again, if you want to experiment, you could try unchecking this box and leaving it blank like this, and you'll get a different behavior. It won't come back to the proposer for a review. In this case, we'll get it back to the proposer. So finish here, and there's our email to Sarah, the proposer. As you can see, the routing order here is set to 5, so that's one bigger than the 2 that were 4, which is why she's getting it next. This is simply an optional box that she can fill in. It's quite big, so it's kind of a review sort of box. I made it a bit larger by changing the width and height properties in UiPath. See, the size down here, the height is 100 and the width is 400. Most of the time you don't need to specify this, but in this case we wanted a bigger box, so we changed these properties here. Left everything else the same pretty much. Yep, that's it. Relative to the review by proposer words. And then let's finish this one off. And finally, it comes to the resource allocation team. There's nothing too intricate about this. It's this one here. Ah, yeah, there are a couple of interesting things. Okay, so this is the resource allocation team. Oh, I should have mentioned the document, the proposal document that the original proposer attached. Everybody all along the way has been able to view it. So the product evaluation team could come down here and look at the proposal document. The final sign-off, there's a decline tab here. So the resource allocation team could actually decide to decline this proposal, in which case the envelope will be voided and it will come back with a decline status. Or they could choose to finish it. Now, I'll finish it. So it's signed. We don't click the decline tab, we just go straight to finish. And that's it. That's the email signed. And you can see we get an email coming through saying it's completed. Now let's just have a look at some of the caveats of this workflow. We've used the secure authentication this time in two places. First of all, we've got our credentials from the orchestrator server. So this is a client secret and a client ID, and these are plugged in straight to the DocuSign application scope into the secure section, which takes a secure string. And I've just got an asset, the redirect URL, and plugged that one in too. So that signs us into the DocuSign application scope and starts the authentication process. For the actual browser authentication, I've done the same again. I've got the email and password from the secure server and plugged them into here. Now another interesting thing here happens at the end. So you see we've got our send envelope activity. We haven't looked at this so far, but the output gives an envelope ID. This is it's a string that DocuSign provides, which uniquely identifies the envelope on the server. So all we're doing here is just building a data table and saving it into a spreadsheet called sentenvelopes.csv. So if I come over here, sentenvelopes.csv, okay, I've sent a few. So this is the most recent one that we just sent, and you can see it's got the ID, the proposer email, and the status, and they're set to sent at first. We just did that in text. We just did that with an assign activity right here. We just sent right there, so nothing special about that. But what's interesting is when we start to query what's on the server. So again, I've just logged in using secure methods. Here I'm reading the sent envelopes document, this one here, and I just load all of the envelopes into a string separated, and I just load all of the envelopes into a comma separated string called envelope IDs. So this goes through every single one and just tells us what the IDs are together. So it'll take this, put a comma at the end of it, add that, another comma, so on. So we'll have our string of comma separated IDs, and now we come to the list envelopes activity. This is found in envelopes, list envelopes. This one allows us to query the server and find out how our envelopes are doing. So it takes a list of it. You can query it in a few ways. You can use it from date, to date. You can select the status that you want the envelopes at, so you can see all of the sent envelopes, all of the completed envelopes, and so on. We'll leave it at any for now. You only need one of these parameters, but you have to have one of them, and it outputs a list of envelopes. This uses the envelope info type. So we loop through the envelope infos, as you can see here. As you can see here, envelope list of envelope info, and that's one of the types. That's one of the types I've created in the DocuSign activity pack. So now it looks through the original. Now it loops through all the envelopes, looks up the relevant row in this spreadsheet, and sets the column to whatever the status is returned by the server. So you see we've got item here in the envelope list. That envelope list is returned by the server. We get the item and set it to the value of the status field over here. So, and finally we just write it to file. So I'll show you how this works. I'll just close this down and press F5. Because we're communicating with the server, we have to log in again. And now, if we look at our sent envelopes, you can see that this one that we've just done is completed now. And the other ones are sent. It's got that they're sent from the server. And this one's completed. You could do more interesting things with this than simply update a spreadsheet. For example, you could send an email, you could initiate another process, you could initiate a process based on this spreadsheet, with this spreadsheet as input. So this is just a demonstration to show you the capabilities. But you could do a lot with this. The signing of the document might be a bottleneck in a process, so you might have to wait while everybody completes this document and then continue with the rest of the process. So that's possible. The only thing that we haven't covered in these tutorials is the templates tab. I don't want to go into too much detail because it's very easy. There's an interface on the DocuSign website that allows you to define your own templates. Right up here, there's a template tab, and for each template, you define roles. See, I've called my role super guy here, and you specify these roles with the added sign activities. So you put in a sign template role. It takes in the template that you created with the load template activity, and this takes in the template name. So in this case it would be called test roles. Test roles, and it gives you a template object. Now you assign the template role, you put in the email, the name and the role name, and so in this case it would be super guy, and then the template. And then you have to send the template using a special send template activity. You just put in the template. You can have multiple roles per template. You get this quite nice interface here, which is a bit easier than positioning with, by pixels. But the trade-off is that you don't get the logic and the ability to conditionally route and whatnot. So it's very powerful. And you just have to choose the right tool for the right job. A lot of the time you'll be able to get away with just using the request signature activity if you just need a simple signature, and this is a nice easy activity to use. But you have the option of something more powerful if that's what you require, and that's what this activity pack is aiming to achieve. It's trying to make it easy if you just want an easy solution, and to give you power and advanced tools if you've got a more complicated scenario. Okay, well that's the end of this training, so thank you very much.